I created a 3D animated short film in less than 2 months with a little magic from AI. I'll show you exactly what I did starting from scratch and all the tools I used. And no, I did not follow the traditional steps that you would usually follow to make a 3D animated short film, because that would take like months and, well, years. This is probably the most challenging short film project I've ever undertook, dealing with stress, sleepless nights, and having to figure out working around a day job in order to get the project delivered on time. But was it worth it? Well, let's find out. But first, let me show how I did it. I needed a motivation. That motivation was a challenge created by Taram, a charity organization focusing on mental health in the Tamil community. So they had a competition where anyone can create any creative project and the winner would take home a $250 prize. I didn't really care much for the prize, but I was interested in creating a film around that theme. The deadline though was less than 2 months. However, I was keen to create a film about real issues and have it seen by the community, so I think that was sort of my main motivation. I feel like if I just decided to create an animated short film without any kind of deadline goal, I would never have finished it and I would have just kept on procrastinating. So the deadline ensured I always progressed forward and had little time to procrastinate. It was important that I have a good story that would resonate among the community and raise awareness about mental health. Being a Tamil person myself, I was already aware of the common mental health issues surrounding the Tamil community. So to create the story, I got the help of ChatGPT, and I was using ChatGPT 4 in case you were wondering. Just to be clear, the story was not written by ChatGPT. The story is actually my own. ChatGPT helped me to convert whatever was in my brain and bring it to life on paper. It helped me brainstorm ideas whenever I got stuck or had writer's block. I would learn more about the mental health issues facing Tamil people and what the symptoms were and how people coped, and then I would build them into my character and story. So after about a day or two of back and forth chatting with ChatGPT, I was able to craft out what I thought was a great script that felt realistic, relatable, and grounded. I needed to create all the characters quickly, but I didn't have a lot of time to go through the character creation process, since that itself would take months. Well, at least it did for me when I created the characters for my previous short film, Uyir. There's a lot of work involved in creating characters. There's modeling, sculpting, texturing, clothing, hair, props, and rigging, which take up a significant amount of time. And for me to do that for multiple characters would have taken a lot of time. I needed to skip all that and find a way to create decent looking 3D characters within days. So I came across Character Creator 4 from Reallusion. This was perfect as it allowed me to create unique looking 3D characters by just moving sliders. Basically, you can quickly generate a unique 3D character and change the age, height, weight, gender, and even ethnicity really quickly. You can also add a variety of different clothing to any character, which was a massive time saver. Best of all the characters came fully rigged by default, so that I could just focus on animating. The tool allows for advanced customizations too, like if you wanted to paint your own textures or add your own custom clothing that you could import from Blender. MetaHuman from Unreal Engine also does something similar, but I just felt that Character Creator 4 was just a lot more quicker to get up and running. Character Creator 4 also allowed exporting to almost any 3D software, so that was perfect. All in all, character creation took about 3 days for me. The main character took about an hour, and the rest took a while, mainly because the process was really boring since I was just moving sliders all day, and of course I easily got distracted by other YouTube videos. Character Creator 4 isn't free, by the way, but I felt it was worth it since I could use it for other projects as well. At this point, I already had the story and I knew where the story would take place. So it was just a matter of creating all the environments where the story would take place. Of course, I could have created the environments myself, but my story took place in a couple of different environments and I didn't want to spend too much time on this, since I only had less than 2 months. So I took the easy way out and I just bought all the environments. I used Turbo Squid and Blender Marker to source all the environments that I needed. Some were cheap and others were a little bit expensive. Maybe it's cheating, I don't know, but I just wanted to focus more on the story of my film rather than to show off how great of a 3D modeler I am. So getting all the environments ready took me about a week. I already knew I would be using Blender for animation and rendering, so I needed the environments to work with Blender. Researching and buying the actual environments took just an hour or two. However, a lot of time was spent on cleaning up the models and making them look good when rendered in Blender. Most of the issues were around textures not importing properly, or some scenes slowed down the viewport considerably, which I needed to investigate why. Cleaning up was not fun and was a little frustrating at times. But after the environments were cleaned up, I needed to tweak the lighting and compositing so that everything looked consistent visually. For animation, I mainly used iClone. It's also from Reallusion and it is paid software. I found iClone easier and quicker to animate than Blender. They have a library of pre-made mocap animations that I can just drag and drop onto my character. Luckily, I also had an iPad with the Live Face app which connects with iClone. This allowed me to do facial animation very easily. And yes, the Oscar level facial performance of my characters was all me. I also used a bit of the free web app Rococo Vision to create the motion performances, but mostly I just used already available mocap animations, so I can't really claim any of the amazing body movements were me. Once the animation was done, I brought them into Blender. I did this by exporting from iClone as an FBX file and using the Reallusion importer for Blender to bring in the animated character. A bit of tweaking here and there was also needed to make sure the materials and textures looked correct in cycles like how it does in iClone. The hardest part of all this was memory. I had a scene with multiple characters and it was a challenge to bring them all in one scene. iClone seemed to run really slow when there were multiple characters, so it was frustrating getting everything to work nicely. I honestly thought I wouldn't make the deadline because of how slow everything was running. I needed a lot of patience to get through this. All in all, this took around 2 weeks for me to complete. I used the Cycles renderer in Blender to render the whole film. If you've used Cycles before, you'll know how slow it is. That's because it is a physically accurate ray traced renderer which lets you create amazing looking renders easily, but at the cost of time and computer power. My film was 5 minutes long, and there was no way I could render everything in time if I only used my own PC. A single frame to render on my PC took around 20 minutes on average. My film was 5 minutes long and ran at 24 frames per second, so that would mean around 7,200 frames in total needed to be rendered out. In other words, 144,000 minutes, or 2,400 hours, or 100 days if I kept my PC running 24 hours 7 days a week. To speed everything up, I used Blender Grid, which is a render farm service. Basically, they have thousands of computers running in parallel, which means frames would be rendered in parallel and thus cutting down my rendering time to hours instead of over 3 months if I rendered on my own. Yes, it did take up quite a bit of budget and way more than the prize money, but I cared more about bringing the film to life rather than the prize, so I felt it was worth it. The final part of the jigsaw puzzle. I needed to piece together all the rendered clips into a video editor and add music, sound effects, as well as a title intro and end credits text. I used Cyberlink Power Director as my video editor of choice, purely because I've been using this for years. I also sourced sound effects from freesound.org, and from the music, I grabbed it from Epidemic Sound. This took me 3 days, and maybe I should have spent more time on this, but since the end was near, I was so motivated to get it over the line that I prioritized a lot of time on this. Finally, release time. I managed to finish the film in just less than 60 days and I was proud of myself. I uploaded the film to the competition and that was pretty much it. So, Did I end up winning the competition? Yes, I won it, and I also won the $250 prize money. I mean, I'm still at a loss since I spent more on making the actual film, but whatever, I felt good. I also submitted the film to a couple of short film festivals, and I actually won a few of them, and also became a finalist and semi-finalist in a few of the others. So, at the end of the day, was it worth it? I would say a most definite yes. That was it. That's how I made my animated short film in less than 2 months with a bit of help from AI. I hope you found this video useful, and maybe you can do an even better job than me. If you're interested to see the final film that I made, go ahead and check it out on my channel. It's called Vina, The Strings of Resilience. Thanks for watching.